All right, folks, strap in because this episode of Eden of the East is about as coherent as a toddler's finger painting. Episode 4, let's call it the one where nothing makes sense, but lots of talking happens. First up, we're wading through a dream sequence that's like Akira's brain through a rave with a bunch of white figures dressed as snowmen. He's calling them Johnny, and honestly, trying to decipher your cat's midnight sprint through the house. I mean, who the heck are these Johnnies? Did Akira accidentally drop acid before hitting the sack? Then we've got the flashback to Akira's cozy meet-cute with Mr. Outside. It's like watching someone try to explain their Tinder date while forgetting what they ordered. Was that Mr. Outside or just a really weird waiter? Akira's face says, "I'm not sure what's happening, but I'm too polite to ask." And oh boy, let's talk about the Selecao system explanation. I feel like the writers sat around a table, decided let's play 20 questions but only use jargon, and then threw it all into this episode. We get it, Mr. Outside is pulling strings like a puppet master at a kindergarten show. But did we need another 15 minutes of this? My patience was about as thin as Akira's grasp on reality. Enter the shadowy guy at the end. Is he the big plot twist or just another surprise? Like finding out your favorite band is actually a cover band? Spoiler, he probably won't be the supporter. I'd bet my last slice of pizza on it. Meanwhile, Hyura, remember him? The guy who's been explaining things as if he's a tour guide at the Museum of Obvious Facts? Probably won't matter much. He's just here to point out Japan's elderly care issues and to remind us that Akira's amnesia is more of a plot device than a real issue. Maybe they should have just handed Hyura a giant sign that says, "I'm here to fill in gaps and be vaguely useful." Saki, poor Saki, is still floating around like an extra at a movie set who never got their big break. We finally get a hint at her love life with a poster for the Cold Blue movie in her place. I guess her feelings are as convoluted as the plot. The official site teases that next week might give her some spotlight, so let's hope she actually gets to do something besides look puzzled. So, next week, more Saki drama and hopefully fewer dream sequences. Until then, enjoy trying to piece together the existential puzzle that is Akira's life. If you figure it out, do let me know. I'm still stuck on whether Johnny is a real person or just Akira's imagination running wild. We open with Saki, returning home to her sister's bakery. Her sister's husband, Ryusuke, is there looking like he's auditioning for the role of most concerned character. He asks about her interview prospects. Saki, who's been wandering around like a lost puppy, isn't exactly sure what's going on with that. Ryusuke, in his infinite kindness, is relieved that she's home safe. Honestly, if I had to deal with this level of dramatic tension, I'd be relieved too. Meanwhile, Akira is on the phone with Juiz, trying to find out if he's successfully wiped out 20,000 NEETs. Yes, you heard that right. It's like asking if your pizza delivery came with a side of existential dread. Juiz can only confirm that Akira gathered them. This is basically the equivalent of saying, yep, you've collected the points, but no idea what game you're playing. Juiz also drops some juicy tidbits about the Selecao system. Akira learns that he's part of some high-stakes club with rules so complex they make the tax code look like a bedtime story. One of the Selecao, known as the supporter, has the job of weeding out those who can't handle the pressure. Akira's more confused than a cat in a dog show, but he decides to channel his frustration into detective mode. With newfound determination, Akira hops on his motorcycle and speeds off to investigate that Selecao No. 5. The route takes him to an area hit by a missile, because nothing screams in-depth investigation like leaping into a giant crater. He stares into the abyss, makes a dramatic leap, and lands in a rubble pile surrounded by flickering screens. Cue the hallucinations. Johnny figures emerge from the screens. It's like a bad acid trip mixed with a low-budget sci-fi flick. Akira's initial reaction is joy at seeing his old friends, but then the figures start hurting him. Classic case of be careful what you wish for. He tells them off and realizes he's still on solid ground. Back at the bakery, Saki's making phone calls. She lies to Usugi, claiming she's crashing at her friend Michan's place. Usugi offers to accompany her to her interview, which is like asking a kid to help clean up a mess they didn't make. Saki's mind, however, is preoccupied with Akira. She sends him a message, worried about his well-being, which, given the state of affairs, is probably warranted. Akira, now at Hira General Hospital, is on a quest to find out about an MRI machine purchase. Because when you're lost in existential confusion, you might as well ask about medical equipment. The receptionist is probably wondering why Akira's showing up without an appointment, but hey, drama waits for no one. Akira decides to leave his number and a message identifying himself as a Selecao. While he waits, he grabs a magazine and discovers an article about Hira, the former neurosurgeon who bought a failing hospital with some sketchy funding. But before he can read more, an elderly man swipes the magazine and tosses it away, declaring Hira their savior. Classic misdirection. Akira receives Saki's message but gets interrupted by a call from Selecao number 05. Number 05, assuming Akira is the supporter, offers him a dose of mysterious medicine. Because what's a good plot twist without a little pharmaceutical intrigue? Akira takes the medicine and promptly loses consciousness. When he wakes up, it's dark and he's alone in a room with a tiny robot. The robot hands him his phone, which starts ringing. Enter Mr. Outside, the ultimate puppet master. He explains the Selecao system and reveals the cell phone's 10 billion yen. He's like a high-stakes game show host, outlining the rules. Save the country, use the money wisely, and if you screw up, death awaits. It's basically Survivor, but with higher stakes and fewer luxury items. Mr. Outside drops knowledge about the Selecao's roles, penalties, and the necessity to think outside the box. Akira's realization that Hira's explanation was just a big conundrum delivered over the phone is like a twist ending to a thriller. Hira had been worried Akira might be the supporter, so he drugged him. Hira's own grand vision involves making elderly care better by employing seniors as resources. Sweet, but a bit too idealistic for Mr. Outside's taste. Akira figures out that Hira's lavish spending was mostly bribery. Hira praises Juiz for her convincing skills and admits he's not suited to Mr. Outside's grand plan. Hira doesn't know much about Akira, except for his questionable purchases like a mall in a ghost town and some hefty foreign ministry expenses. Hira's parting words are a mix of relief and resignation. As Akira leaves, he gets a notification on his phone. The number 05 symbol has faded. It's like the universe just gave him a giant game on sign. Akira, frustrated and itching for answers, is ready to confront whoever's behind this grand scheme. Because nothing says closure like a bike ride filled with unresolved plot twists and a craving for some righteous retribution.